Welcome to Waking the Kraken. I'm Wes Potts.
And I'm Alex Kahneman.
And today on Kraken World News, we've got number one is Stephen Hawkins posthumously did a benefit ball for the homeless in Cambridge, Great Britain. He hosted a Easter dinner for 40 of the community's homeless population. He paid for this all obviously posthumously because he wasn't alive anymore. Mm-hmm. But it was his kind of like last like will and testament thing.
Yeah, nice thing from Stephen Hawking. A man in Japan has successfully created the world's largest rideable, functioning Gundam robot replica. Basically, it can move at a whole 1 kilometer an hour, and it can move its fingers and its torso and head separately.
I remember watching that show when I was a kid. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and it's like it really looks like a Gundam, and so like that's happening. This guy is really pushing for it to be like a real thing.
In Great Britain, tougher regulations are being passed through the parliament to restrict and limit the ivory trade. In fact, the ban is so big that it is actually the most tough ban in Europe. This is to actually promote the idea of destroying the ivory trade, as well as limiting down the poachers that are attacking them. Really what it is let's see, it's really just like the ban is a complete ban. There's no room for a difference with like you can't even sell old ivory. Unlike here in the United States, where if you have like, you know, we even had some at the shop where like we had like a little piece of it for scrimshaw.
Because you mean like piano keys and stuff like that.
Yeah, piano keys and stuff. You can't have any of it in Great Britain now. Like,
yeah, that's I mean, I guess if you wanna get rid of it, that's the way to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Got some new movies coming out this week to be excited for. I'm going to start with one that came out on Friday. This movie called Rampage. If you're not familiar with that game, basically it's a giant monkey versus a giant lizard versus a crocodile. No, it's a wolf. It's a giant wolf. It's a giant lizard and like a crocodile lizard thing and a wolf. And they fight, and it's a fighting game, and you destroy the city, and you go on a rampage. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is starring in a movie based on a game about 3 giant animals fighting each other in a city.
Yeah.
Also, Super Troopers 2 is going to come out this week on 4/20. It's been very long awaited.
Did you know that at Alamo Drafthouse they're actually hosting an episode, or they're hosting it starting it at 4/20?
Oh, that's hilarious.
4/20 on 4/20.
That's hilarious. And then also, I can't help but mention it, Avengers Infinity Wars.
It's
finally coming out. I think it's the 20th film in their saga now. The Guardians of the Galaxy are going to meet the Avengers. Finally, the Infinity Gauntlet is going to be a thing. Comic books are awesome.
It's coming down to the wire, baby. And then we can actually learn about what everything else is going to be in the Marvel Universe after that, because they've been kind of keeping a close wrap on that because they don't want to ruin Infinity Wars.
That's true.
The UN Security Council met in New York the other day. Mm-hmm. The talks did not go well. The Secretary General was stated as the Cold War is back with a vengeance. Britain has accused Russia and its ally of Syria and the Assad regime of using chemical warfare against its population. Russia has accused the UK of spreading vile and grotesque blatant lies. This all culminating in what happened last night.
Right. So the United States, the UK, and France joined forces to take military action on a Syrian base that they thought was housing chemical weapons. We fired 103 missiles, 71 of which were shot down by Syrian forces. About 25 of them did land on target, and the rest of that did make it. Went to different storage facilities and other places like that where they knew more chemical weapons were being developed and stored.
I saw some videos from earlier this week of just like the things that the Brits used as like proof of chemical agents and stuff, and they were just washing kids with just gallons and gallons of water, just trying to get the water out as fast as they could to wash this chlorine gas off of them and stuff.
Right, and that's all they can do.
Yeah, it's terrifying looking. I mean,
like they wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for the chemical weapons, and this is exactly the reason why we do need to get rid of them. You know,
right? It's why, like under the Geneva Convention and stuff, they're banned in warfare. My great great grandfather fought in World War I, and he actually lost his eye in the trenches when the Germans shot mustard gas.
Oh yeah.
He obviously had like a gas mask, but he had a crack, I guess, in like one of the seals around his eyepiece.
Yeah.
And so just like, yeah, he had to have a fake eye.
Yeah, and I never got to meet my Uncle Ronnie because he died from the effects of Agent Orange.
Oh, yeah, no, there's also Agent Orange.
Yeah, I mean, so like that's a guy who's only like a few years older than my father.
Yeah.
Who passed away, and I didn't get to meet him just because he went to and got
Vietnam.
and he got chemical warfared. He literally got into the face.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, like, obviously we'll have yet to see how this affects everything. Hopefully the airstrike and stuff like that will nullify, or at least like kind of like push the Assad regime into not deciding to use chemical warfare anymore. They do have the backing of the Russians,
Right.
which will maybe give them a little bit more bravado. But I feel like more of the international community, especially when you have Great Britain, France, and the United States agreeing on anything recently within the past 17 years.
Yeah, and
That
and also I just want to make a quick pivot point, or a plot point. Syria's government is fighting like a resistance regime within Syria, correct?
Yeah, they're fighting they're at one point they were fighting ISIS and rebel forces.
Mm-hmm. And so now, and Russia's government has been backing the Syrian government, where and now that the Syrian government has been using chemical weapons, other countries are starting to step in and say, hey, this isn't okay. And this is why the heat with Russia is such a big deal, is because we're playing with Syria, who's backed by Russia.
Well, and I feel like there's a little bit of a little bit of politicism with it too, because Great Britain is the one that was claiming that they were using biological warfare, or not biological, but chemical warfare. Great Britain has also accused Russia recently with the spy scandal that we talked about on last week's
yeah.
Kraken World News, and I think that's the thing, is like there's a lot of heat coming off of Russia and stuff. There's a lot, like, much like there's a lot of heat coming off of North Korea and a lot of other
Right.
things and stuff. The world is getting crazy.
Crazier and crazier every day, dude, because that's all I can do. But at the same time, how crazy is it? I mean, is it just as crazy as it's ever been?
Some would probably say so.
Some would
In the
probably
world
say
of global
so.
news, it feels probably crazier.
It does feel pretty
like
crazy.
24/7 global news. Yeah, crazy world.
Right?
Speaking of Russia, I finally, after 2 weeks, saw the Death of Stalin.
Death of Stalin. We've been waiting for this.
Yeah. I found it to be really interesting. I think I don't know what Chloe's thoughts were on it necessarily, because me and Chloe went to go see it. I think that she liked it. She laughed at some parts. I don't know if she enjoyed it as much as I did. I thought it was very hilarious, and the only way that I can describe it would be in almost kind of a weird little skit of someone, like a screenwriter, wrote a very high drama piece
Right.
that he wanted probably George Clooney or Brad Pitt or someone else
Right.
in, and it's about Khrushchev taking power from the Russian, like the Russians, like what did they call them? It was a council. Like basically there was Stalin and then there was council.
I'm not sure. I can't remember the name.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Basically how he wanted to consolidate power under himself and basically weed out dissidents.
Okay.
And so they wrote this hyper dramatic skit, and then they handed it into the studio, and the studio says, hey, this is really good. We really like what you're doing. But there's this kind of thing going on right now in Washington, D.C., where the president might be linked to Russia.
Right.
And, you know, we're Hollywood, so we're not too happy about that. Can we maybe make this funny? And so then they got a bunch of, like, comedy writers to get together who wrote the driest comedy ever.
Dry
which
comedy.
is hilarious to me, because it's just word after word after scenario that's hilarious. Like, if you just listen to it. It's a lot like Flight of the Conchords, where some people won't find it funny, but if you're really, really good at catching what they're saying and how they're saying it, it's hilarious.
Or like, would Young Frankenstein be like another?
Many of Mel Brooks' works,
Perfect.
would be very similar to that too.
Heck yeah, because like that's one of my favorite styles of humor. Like,
Right.
where literally every line is a joke.
Yeah.
And because it's amazing to me that like you can take people can take, you know, something like comedy and they can break it apart and make it to where literally everything they say is funny.
Right. And just to give a little bit of a preview of one, there's one scene where Stalin's son, who's a drunk, wants to give a speech at his father's funeral. And the person that's the head chairman right now, who was his vice chairman under Stalin, goes, oh yeah, no problem. And then everyone just kind of looks at him. He's like, I think you guys heard me wrong. I said no problem. And that's just how it went. It was great.
That's funny. I watched a movie this week. I saw the new It movie.
Oh, yeah, you hadn't seen that yet. I remember we talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah, and it blew my mind.
Yeah,
dude.
it was super good.
Like, I was seeing a bunch of mixed reviews. I don't get it. I thought it was awesome. The CGI was great. I thought Bill Skarsgård was amazing. I thought all the characters played their parts really well. And I thought the differences they did make really did kind of help for just the visual.
You read the whole thing, too, wasn't it? That was kind of the thing that you were going to do before you saw the film, was you wanted to read it to make sure that, like, the new one added up, or maybe where the old one didn't stack up or anything like that.
Exactly, yeah. I just wanted to know all the references.
Yeah.
And I got about halfway through the book, reading it word for word.
Which is probably where you should end for that first movie anyway.
Well, the book isn't formatted the same way the movies are, yeah. The book kind of does the whole, like, you know that there's these old people doing things, and also you see these events where these kids are getting scared, and you're slowly starting to learn that these adults are the kids, and it's going back and forth between time.
I see, okay.
And it's not until, like, later in the book that you, like, really start to come to understand exactly what's going on, about halfway through. And so essentially that movie, what they've done is reformatted it to where it's like all you're getting is the kids for the first movie, and they've just kind of picked it out and just told that story, and now they're leaving the rest of the story from them as adults to be for the second movie.
I see, yeah.
Which I think is, for a movie, a lot smarter.
Yeah, no, I agree. I remember I had a gift certificate or something, and I saw it, and it was all by myself. I was the only person in the theater, and I was like, this is the best way to see a movie ever.
Yeah.
But also one of the more terrifying ways to see a horror film.
Well, right.
Like, I can't imagine... Because also this week I went and saw, what was it? It was A Quiet Place, which is a silent horror film.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine seeing that by myself. That would be terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Because it'd be so quiet, and it would just be me, and I would feel bad if I ate popcorn or something, because I felt like something would come kill me.
Right. Yeah. Like someone's going to come out of the movie and be like, "What? Just watch it. Quit making noise."
But yeah, that one was also pretty good. I think that Emily Blunt and John Krasinski did really well together. They're married, so obviously they have a little bit of chemistry.
Nice.
But it was very interesting, and this I think was like John's. He directed the movie, which made it even better. Like thinking that Jim from The Office directed a horror film. People keep constantly surprising me. All these comedy actors and people in comedies are now making horror films that are really awesome, like Jordan Peele and.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh, Get Out. What a good movie.
Yeah, Get Out was awesome.
Well, okay. So I'm gonna jump back. Last week, I kept saying James somebody as this comedian you should look up. His name's James A. Caster. I've been watching him more and more, and I'm obsessed with this dude. Like he is probably one of my favorite comedians I've ever heard. He's just nonstop. And it's just kind of like you were saying with the Death of Stalin. Like every line is a joke. Like literally every motion he makes is a joke.
Yeah.
And he's like the British Bo Burnham. I think I said that. Where literally from beginning to end, it's planned.
You were talking about how he's on Netflix, right? Like
Netflix, yeah.
I need to check him out.
Yeah, he's got like a 4-part series that's out, and it's like 4 50-minute specials, and they all tie into each other.
Okay, cool.
And so it's actually kind of cool. Like you don't see that too often either.
No, yeah. I hadn't ever seen the movie The Master until this week. I rented The Master.
The Master. Who's in The Master again?
It's Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Right.
And Joaquin Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And I rented it because I've been obsessed with cults recently.
Okay.
Which has just been kind of my like anyone who's like talked to me avidly recently, I'll just like be like, so I was learning about this other cult this time, and I was learning about this cult, and I was learning about this cult, and this one, a lot of people say it's loosely based off Scientology.
Yeah.
Like it's based off L. Ron Hubbard and all these other people, but they changed a lot of names so that the Church of Scientology couldn't sue them because they're really, really into that.
Yeah.
So,
that's kind of what you have to do nowadays.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell a true story without somebody getting offended and asking you to give them money for it.
Right. But yeah, so that was like it was interesting. So I did a lot of research on the characters that they were based off of afterwards, and like I learned about how it was a really interesting piece. Yeah. I don't know if I think that it's necessarily the greatest piece that I've ever seen.
Well, right.
But I did really find it interesting. And Joaquin Phoenix once again played a crazy person.
He's good at that.
He's really good at playing a crazy person. Did you see that he's going to play Jesus in a movie soon?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's I think it's called Magdalene. It's based off of Mary Magdalene's life,
Mm-hmm.
and Joaquin Phoenix is playing Jesus.
Interesting.
So that's one thing that I'll be very, very interested to see.
Yeah,
is
that's for sure.
How Joaquin Phoenix. I can only imagine it's going to be like Willem Dafoe playing Jesus in The Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah, right. Well, it's got. I don't know. At least the color will be more appropriate.
Oh, it's shot really funky. I saw Chloe showed me it. She's like, have you seen this trailer? And I was like, no. And she's like, Joaquin Phoenix is Jesus in it, and I was like, I have to see this now.
We have to see it. So, what's been fresh this week with you? Like, what's something new that you're excited about? That's maybe just something you're doing in your life right now.
Let's see. Something fresh and new that I've been doing this week in my life.
Whether it's a new piece of music or a new thing you found you liked or a new book you're reading.
Oh, I have been. What is it? Oh, I've been wood burning recently.
Okay.
I got a wood burning kit for Christmas, and I've been trying to make this like landscape piece. But I started off making this landscape piece with it, and then I realized how much more fun it would make it to be a surreal landscape piece.
Dude, totally.
So like I started making like, you know, the land, and then there's like a tree. Then I was like, how can I make this tree look more like a tree? And then I messed up, and then I was like, I'm just gonna make this tree have octopus tentacles and be kind of this like weird kind of thing. And then I started like adding like a in the background there's a flying saucer and all these things, and so it's just been really fun to make a really weird piece out of wood.
Dude, that's amazing.
So what about you? You said you told me before we started recording you've been working on a new piece of music.
Yeah, I've been working on this track. It's going to be a TV Magic track. For those of you who follow CK Productions, you know we put out lots of royalty-free stuff, but TV Magic is my producer name. So anything that I kind of just do for myself, I'm going to release through that and just kind of make it my artist. And so I'm working on this track called Ego Death, and the whole concept of it is that the person listening to it is the ego that is involved.
Yeah.
And so I want them to feel really unsatisfied with everywhere it goes. But basically, I want all of the listeners' thoughts to be just like completely like pulled away, like just be like, oh, here you go. Nope, that wasn't what you thought it was going to be. Let's go somewhere else. Yeah, right. And it's got a lot of interesting sound production and like fun stuff that I've been playing with.
I hope someone listens to it and goes, it's metaphorically like a skateboarder in a pool.
Yes.
Like it just keeps going up and then down and up and down. You can quote me on that.
I'll quote you on that.
Yeah, you can just put it like Wes Potts from Waking the Kraken says.
It's like a skateboarder going up and down in a pool.
It's a metaphorical version of a skateboarder going up and down a pool.
Oh. But yeah, I've been showing it to like whoever has been walking by in the studio. Drew came by for a minute from the Albatross, and I got to show it to him, and it made him laugh, which is the goal. I want people to listen to it and go, what the fuck? And just like kind of giggle to themselves. And so far, that's the overall effect. But I've been doing that, and then another big thing that I've been working on is I'm going to be starting to do video lessons, and you're going to be able to find on my YouTube page now. I'm going to be doing more things where I talk about music composition.
Oh, nice, yeah.
I've got one where I'm going to be talking about like audio hardware and software and how to use it for YouTubers or for creators. You know, like how to like basically just what microphones do I need to buy if I want to do this? Like what do I need to be thinking about if I want to get into doing YouTube, because that's increasingly more popular.
Oh yeah, lots of people want to do that recently.
Yeah, and I mean, like podcasts are becoming a much bigger deal in my life lately, and I think for a lot of people that's kind of becoming a thing now. And so I think the want to do a podcast is going up, and so the need for help with that, I think, and not only help, but like straightforward, this is what you need to do, honest help.
Oh, I was going to ask you actually, speaking of podcasts and stuff like that, obviously you have been working on, it's not necessarily a podcast. I don't know if they're going to make it a podcast or anything, but you've been doing a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. How's that been going? Have you been up to that recently?
Yeah, man, it's been awesome. lots of fun times to be had. We always tend to let the room be a little buzzy,
Right.
just to make sure that everyone's just kind of laughing and goofing along. The stories developed really interestingly. We've done pretty much nothing that Austin thought we were going to be doing, who's our DM. And so he's been having to make shit up on the fly, and we've been wizarding our way around beating like all of these really crazy monsters, which you'll just have to listen to it to find out about. But it's going to be called Dungeons and D, which is kind of a play on Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
So it'll be like, this time on Dungeons and D. So
I was asking that because I've got one that obviously Ben, who was our assistant host one time when you were in Colorado, he's putting together one that he talked about on the podcast, and we have another one that we might actually record or not, but I'm getting really excited because it's a Star Wars RPG, and I've never played anything like that. I've always played like the classical Dungeons and Dragons. I've never played like any of the Lovecraftian Arkham horrors or like any like Star Wars style ones or anything like that. But I get to play basically a space pirate, and I'm really excited about it.
Dude, straight up, man. Like, role-playing games are unendingly fun as long as the setting is correct for the person playing it.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's Star Wars. For some people, it's fantasy baseball. For other people, it's Dungeons and Dragons.
I want to see someone do like a hybrid between fantasy baseball and Dungeons and Dragons, where it's like, this week you find yourself in Yankee Stadium. One of your most popular batters is actually down. Who do you pick?
Yeah, right.
It's just like, I don't know, that guy from the crowd that seems to be really passionate. Like, and it just like does this weird fantasy baseball story.
Yeah, right. And it's basically just like, all right, I throw a fastball. Okay, you need a roll for that? All right, that's a 7. Okay, it went about 70 miles an hour. I swing at it. You need to roll for that too.
Roll for fortitude.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you hit it. It's a line drive. Okay, my shortstop goes to catch it. That's fantasy baseball, Dungeons and Dragons.
So I haven't told a really good story lately. I normally have like stories from my life and stuff that I tell, and I haven't told one in a while, I realized.
Right on.
So I thought of one this week, and I was telling. Obviously, we live in a place where there's a lot of Chinese food.
Oh yeah, dude.
And most of the places around here give out fortune cookies. So one of the things that my mom and dad did when they first started like dating, back before they were married, obviously, and back before I was around, they went to this Chinese restaurant and they got these fortune cookies, and my mom got a fortune cookie and my dad got a fortune cookie, and my mom got a fortune that my dad was so envious of that for the next 28 years he's consistently wished he had it. And it says, "You are the master of all situations."
That's the best fortune you can get.
I know, yeah, I can't imagine a better one. But my father was so dogmatic about wanting to get this one that he would lie to us every time that he got a fortune and just say that's what he would get every time, even though we knew he wasn't. So one time when I was 13 years old, flash forward like 16 years from whenever that date happened to 16 years later, my father has been playing this game for 16 years, telling us every time. Well, we go to a Chinese restaurant, and we get the fortune cookies at the very end, and I open it up and I go, "Hey, Dad, what'd you get?" And he goes, "Oh, you know, the usual." And I go, "Did you now?" And then I turned it around. I had gotten that I was the master of all situations.
That's hilarious.
It's the one thing that he's wanted for 16 years, and I got it. His little child,
right.
like, is the funniest thing in the world to me. Is that's the one thing that he's always wanted. So someday I will find it and I will just give it. I want to be like rich enough to where I just buy a bunch of fortune cookies and have them all filled with that.
Have them all say that, dude. Dude, like, I like the idea of fortune cookies filled with harsh truths. Like, you open it up and it's like, death is the end. Straight up.
Yeah, death is inevitable. Like,
right? Just like straight. Well, because I mean,
well,
like,
my cousin got a fortune cookie one time that was like that.
Oh yeah.
Where he went to the Chinese restaurant, he got a fortune cookie, and then he opened up his fortune, and it said, "You will get a new pair of pants."
Heck yeah, dude.
Inevitably, he's going to get a new pair of pants. It was a 100% accurate.
100% accurate.
Like, even if he were to die, he would still get a new pair of pants because he'd probably be buried in
That's
them.
very true.
So,
Yeah, you know what? Inevitably, he's getting a new pair of pants. And you know why? Because Confucius says.
Because Confucius says, when China stops, chrome wheels keep spinning.
Exactly. That's good. What else is going on?
So there's a lot of places popping up downtown or like on Commercial Street also.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the other day how funny it would be if I made a very, very specific and niche restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if I were to open up a restaurant that wanted to serve bagel sandwiches, I could just call my restaurant Best Bagel Sandwich on Commercial.
Oh, dude.
And no one would be able to top me because it would be the best bagel sandwich on Commercial.
On Commercial.
That's the clue. Is like naming exactly where it is.
Best bagel sandwich on Commercial.
On Commercial. They're like, oh, well, you can get a better bagel sandwich down on Campbell. You're like, yeah, but it's not the best one on Commercial.
Yeah.
If you're on Commercial and you need a bagel sandwich,
right.
go to Best Bagel Sandwich on Commercial. And then I'd have like a couple other things like a soup or something. And they'd be like,
Yeah, right.
why did you get the soup? You went to the Best Bagel Sandwich place on Commercial.
Have you ever been to Worlds of Fun in Kansas City?
Yeah.
You know how they have the suspended roller coaster? I can't remember what it's called. The Screaming Eagle or something like that.
I think I haven't been there since I was in middle school. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all red, white, and blued out, and
Yeah.
like you like lay down and fly. It's really fun, but it's suspended. But they have a sign just outside of the park that you can see from the suspended roller coaster that says the largest suspension coaster in the area. And all I could ever think was, what is the area? Like anything within 75 feet of this suspension coaster?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I love things like that. It's just like, this is this for now.
Right. Like, here's a stipulation that absolutely makes this
You
true.
cannot ever catch me on any loopholes.
This is the best restaurant at this address.
Yeah. Number 1 best American restaurant in 3 blocks.
In 3 blocks. Oh, you said you brought something fun today.
Yeah, well, did I bring something fun today?
I don't know. I guess you did.
I meant the fun thing was the story that I told.
Oh, the story. Okay, all right. Let's talk about this too. I'm excited about this.
So this is I had a local artist work on this. We'll obviously show a picture
Yeah.
and have it described to you. But it's a picture that we have right now, and a local artist drew me and Alex with a kraken. It's almost like a crest. It looks like a watermark almost, like, or like, you know, like how like if you had like an official document that you write everything on. It looks really neat though, but it's like it's us and a kraken, and it's done really, really beautifully.
Yeah, it looks great, and it's gonna be a T-shirt.
It's gonna be a T-shirt.
We're gonna have Waking the Kraken T-shirts. If you're hearing this now, it's probably not up yet. But if you keep paying attention to our Facebook and the CK Productions page and blah 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 and all the other places, we'll definitely let you know. Definitely let you know.
As soon as it happens.
As soon as it happens. And you'll be able to buy it off of Amazon. Shipped to you in one of 5 colors of your choosing.
Of our choosing. One of 5 colors of our choosing.
Yeah, exactly.
Funnier. It's like, no, you get this one. Like, they really wanted the black one. Nah, it looks like you're getting blue.
Okay.
Oh, nuts.
Nuts.
So one thing that I thought was really interesting with this last episode is Great Britain went nuts over this last episode. Like, we had more British listeners than any other time that anyone had ever wanted to listen to us from Great Britain.
Maybe they're just tired of the sad stuff.
That's all we talk about.
But that episode was enough sad stuff.
That's true. But yeah, like, so shout out to all you, shout out to all the British people that are listening to this right now or will listen to this ever.
Yeah, we're glad you're here.
I don't really know what, like, I mean, like, do we say we love them? I don't know them. I don't really know if I love them.
What do we call the Waking the Kraken listeners, by the way? We have to come up with a clever
We do need to come up.
Every podcast have a clever
Yeah, I
name
mean,
for
like,
that?
even What's Hunting Wes and Nate has one where we call them ghosties, but we don't have,
Ghosties.
like,
Yeah.
one for the Kraken.
Yeah, like what I see, and like it's hard. Waking the Kraken, or would they be our mates?
We call them seamen.
Seamen. The Waking the Kraken seamen.
Greetings, seamen.
Or wait. Well, why don't we just call them the crew?
We could call
there's
them
a
the crew.
Yeah, Waking the Kraken crew. Well, what do you guys think? Do you have any ideas? I know some of you listen to us a lot. And
there are some of you out there that could be clever enough to give us a name of our fans.
Yeah, right now I think first place is the crew.
The crew.
So we'll call you guys the crew. Second place is whatever you come up with.
Second place is Seaman.
Oh, Seaman. Okay, yeah. Okay, so options are the crew.
There's the crew, Seaman, and if you don't want to be called Seaman, you need to come up with a better one for sure.
Right. Yeah, we really need some help with this because we're clearly having trouble.
Just like thinking of like writing on the Facebook and stuff like that, and be like, "Greetings, Seaman.
Greetings.
Would you like to chat?"
We're hosting a special event for our seamen.
Yeah. Check us out on Patreon, seamen.
And those seamen should also be ready for Superfight.
Superfight.
Okay, so what we had was E.T. controls all animals.
Right.
Right? And Barney can create hologram of self. Did we create a poll for this one?
I just asked people in person because I forgot to put a poll up.
That's fair.
But I asked a couple of people that listen to us and stuff like that.
Heck yeah.
Barney is the winner.
Barney is
By far, Barney is the winner because he's a dinosaur from our imagination, which means he can't be controlled by E.T. He's also imaginary.
Right.
On the aspect of like he has some powers because he's been given this weird Topla-like quality because enough people believed in him.
Right. And honestly, if you know the definition of a hologram, if he can create a hologram of himself, he can create a version of himself that has all of the information to make himself contained within every part of himself.
Right.
So that's infinite Barney.
Yeah. That's lots of Barney.
That's a lot of Barney.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find something that
E.T., you're dead, bro. It took long enough.
Yeah, dude, E.T. was on like top for like what, 3-4 weeks?
3-4 weeks. But now
it's time
for Barney to fight somebody.
for the Barney to fight nobody. This is a blank card. This is a blank card. I'm gonna draw another one.
Draw
this
another
is a
one.
blank
That's
card.
me. Custom card.
We got Jack Bauer from the 24 show.
Oh. And he can steal his opponent's abilities with a touch.
I think Jack's gonna win, baby.
Right. All right, so Jack Bauer steals opponent's ability with touch. Barney can create hologram of himself.
Oh yeah. Fight.
Okay, we'll definitely try to make a poll for this one, I think. And then we'll ask questions, see you around, blah, blah, blah. Next week, we will have a battle.
Battle Royale.
Oh.
We should add a third person sometime.
Yeah, we should.
Like just to throw a weird wrench in the like.
We should have a whole tournament.
Yeah. we should really do like March Madness, but like it's just like the whole like polls. It's like who would win in this and this and this and this and this.
Exactly, dude. And just come up with like 50 interesting ones and then like make people bet on it.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on Waking the Kraken this week. As you all know, join us on our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Amazon account now.
Amazon, hell yeah. And you can find t-shirts. That's where our t-shirt will be.
That's
it's
where
not
our
there
t-shirt
yet, but it will be.
But it will be.
Also, you might want to check if it's been a while. It might be there now.
If you're not listening to this the week it came out, definitely check and see if it's up.
For sure.
All right.
Well, thanks again, guys.
Yeah, have a good one out there.